everyone. This topic is a simple explanation of N.E.A.T selling. I've often described it as both a process and a methodology, but I truly believe that letting others describe you is always better than what we can say about ourselves. I was recently told by a colleague of mine that N.E.A.T selling is the basic fundamental way to qualify in or out and collect the data that supports that reasoning. Once the data is collected, you could even then begin to implement other sales methodologies, such as MEDDIC or Challenger. N.E.A.T selling was created because the old school way of BANT no longer applies. Today there are so many more stakeholders involved, and the impact of a decision is far-reaching throughout the entire organization. So let's talk about the elements of N.E.A.T. N, as always, we cannot qualify a person or a deal until we have a real need. Not a surface need, but something deep into the core. Now here's a little tip to help you determine need. Try saying something like this. Mrs. Prospect, I understand you're looking for X. Mind if I ask, what makes solving this problem this year so much more important than, say, 6 months ago? If you can get a piece of information like that, you're really getting closer to finding their real needs. Now for E. In today's world, the problems of tomorrow are actually being solved today. And that means there isn't always a budget for what you're offering. Look, I offer sales training, and that's been around a long time. And oftentimes, there isn't even a budget for it, if you can believe that. So E needs to stand for the economic impact. More specifically, what are the economic impacts of the needs that we've just discovered? Now here comes the bonus round in this module to really determine true economic impact. Let's say you offer a solution that saves 1 hour a week. That's 4 hours a month and 48 hours a year. That's a week of time saved, but that really hardly matters. The real question is, what is someone going to do with that extra 48 hours? Maybe a CEO is going to focus on scaling the business. Maybe it's the product manager, and they can put 48 hours back into the next item on the roadmap, which means it'll get out on time. Maybe it's a VP of sales who can take that time and spend it on helping reps close more deals. Trust me, when you show your customer that level of economic impact, they either have to find the budget or come up with a better objection. A. Traditionally in sales, A has always been about authority. However, depending on when you're watching this video, we can easily state there's going to be between 4.6 and 192 people involved in the selection of your product or service. This means it's no longer about authority, rather it's about access to authority. In today's buyer's journey, whether it's an inbound or outbound, it feels like you don't ever really talk to the final decision maker until you are closing the deal. And even then, it's possible you never will. So as a sales rep, I need to know, can my current contact get me access to the authority persons? Do they have the juice? Are they a champion or just a cheerleader? So the question that you should always be asking when you talk to someone isn't who else makes this decision or who else is involved in this decision, but ask this question, who else is affected by this decision? If your person can actually have the juice to answer those questions, you know they're a champion. If not, they're just a cheerleader. So this leads us to T, which still of course stands for timeline or time frame. For this one, I'm going to give away one of my favorite questions to confirm timeline, assuming we already know how to say, so when would you like to have this implemented? If they give you a realistic time frame, even if it's 12 months out, your next statement and question should be something like this. Well, that's reasonable. I'm curious, what happens if we don't meet that timeline? If they don't have a real answer to that question, this will suggest you don't really have a strong commitment from your prospect, which can also mean you haven't really found a significant and compelling pain. So you may end up having to go back and reaffirm and reconfirm more discovery around need. Now, one final tip. What makes N.E.A.T selling so unique is that it doesn't have to follow a specific direction. Sometimes you'll start with need. Other times you'll start with timeline. What matters most is that you understand the elements of N.E.A.T selling, not a specific order to follow. So our goal here was to give you a sense of what N.E.A.T selling means at every level. Hopefully we gave you a few tips along the way that you can start to use, and you can start to do a better job of qualification and discovery. Thanks for paying attention.